Have you ever heard that voice that whispers, or maybe just nags or shouts, I'm not enough. I haven't got enough. I haven't done enough. I'm not tall enough, short enough, thin enough, fat enough, fast enough, healthy enough, whatever it may be. Maybe it's that I'm not doing enough or I'm not as far enough along as I should be at this point in my life. But this repetition of enoughness is a voice that many of us hear. Welcome to another episode of Coming to Your Senses, and it's me today, your host, Jules Wyman. And what we want to do in these podcast episodes is navigate the labyrinth of the mind and hopefully emerge victorious. Because when we look at what's going on in the thinking mind in particular, we can start to see how it's impacting our lives and potentially then make a different choice. Look at things in a different way, challenge the thinking that we have going on, and see where that leads us to. And in this instance, in this episode, what I want to talk about is that repetition of not enough. Now, I know that voice very well myself. It's something that comes up in very frequently in coaching conversations, in workshops, even in keynotes, to be honest. When I'm delivering keynote presentations, quite often in the questions, or if somebody comes up and talks to me during the break, the languaging that they will talk around will be, I'm not doing enough, or I haven't got enough, I haven't done enough by now. And it's really interesting to me because how I lived my life until a certain point of discovering personal development and coaching, I didn't realize that voice was, or that phraseology was thinking that pretty much most people experience in some way, shape, or form. I thought it was just me and it was just impacting my life. But the more I started to have these conversations with people, I could hear that it wasn't just me. But what often happens is that because it's so common and it's such a repetition of thinking that we know and it's so familiar, that actually we don't question it. We just accept it very often without going, hang on a second. Is that even true? Is it accurate? Is it helpful? What I've begun to discover over the 2 decades of looking at this work is that most of the time, if not all of the time, it's inaccurate, it's not true, and it's impacting our lives. So what I've begun to realize is, and the kind of clearest explanation that I've got around understanding where this thinking comes from is through the work that I've done with my coach over the last few years. I call him my coach, but he's more of my teacher and my mentor at this point in my life. And what I've learned through his knowledge and his explorations is that this I'm not enough is a thinking process that runs. And for that thinking process to come into play and for it to be established, it's usually around about 2 years onwards that really starts, thinking mind comes online. And what it does is it creates a bank of rules and a bank of meaning, but based on its interpretation of the external world and how it thinks it implies to what it classes as itself. But those rules, those calculations are based on assumptions. They're not accurate. They are imaginations. They are collections of things that we thought happened through our childhood. It might be half-remembered comments that a well-meaning big person made, or a teacher or somebody of influence. It may be based on the society that we grew up in, rather, and the culture that we've taken on board with that. All of it is this mishmash of information that's come in. And the thinking has then started to make rules up around that based on its perception of me, you, and then those rules. And then basically it's working out based on the rules and how then I'm living my life as to whether it's accurate. Am I getting it right, basically? And if I'm not, then it shouts really loud, no, you're not doing it fast enough, hard enough, quick enough, in the right way enough. based on its rules, not based on what is, and not based on accuracy, not based on actually, is that helpful? Is that something to that I need to give attention to? And the impact of that means that we're living by these rules, as if they are concrete, they are fact, they're solid, they're immovable, without actually checking whether that's true or helpful. And we need to start, if we want to change our lives, that is, we need to actually start questioning that and looking at whether that is something that we want to live by. What I know for myself is when I haven't done that and when I'm not doing that, actually that concretization of those rules, the solidity of those rules, um, is actually really exhausting. And if I'm not checking it, then I could be living by a tyrant's rules, and it can be not only exhausting but really quite cruel. If you've listened to the first episode of Coming to Your Senses, you'll know that in the early 2000s, I experienced a breakdown. I tried different therapies, but it was coaching that truly helped me transform my life. Initially, when I discovered coaching, though, I couldn't afford it. And it was a kind soul who sponsored me not only to have coaching, but also to train and become a coach. And my promise to them was that I would pay it forward. And I've done that in many ways over the years, initially through social media and private Facebook group called Confidence Revolution, and also through Coming to Your Senses, the podcast. But it triggered for me a passion to really want to make and create a secure, supportive space for people to be able to come together and have conversations that transform their lives. So I created the Conscious Conversations community. It's a group where we meet on more than once a month, and we have a focused theme which is guided by the community and facilitated by me. There's hundreds of hours of learning and resources and materials to help you transform your life in a like-minded space. Because I get passionate about it, and because this was my promise to pay it forward, I'm offering you the opportunity to trial it for £1 for the first month. If that appeals to you, then head to juleswyman.online/conscious conversations offer. juleswyman.online/conscious conversations offer to explore what's available for you through being part of a conscious community. So in coaching conversations, what we're looking at is that not enough story. What's the impact that it's having on you now? Not in the past, but now. And starting to see whether it's helping us, what the impact of how it's helping us go through life. Is it like we're walking through life with carrying extra heavy luggage that we don't need to? Or is it helping us float through life really easily? Usually the extra baggage, and that extra baggage stops us from saying, I was going to say saying yes to opportunities, but actually very often it means that we don't see opportunities. And it's the hindsight reflection that we can sometimes see the opportunities that we've missed, because there's that dialogue of, I'm not ready enough yet, so I'm not even seeing it. It's like the blinkers, like a horse might wear. We don't even see them. Or it might mean that we've got these ideas or these questions that come up when we're in, I don't know, a meeting, or even at a bigger event, maybe a conference, or maybe it's even in social situations, that we then don't ask the question or put our point of view forward, or say something, because but is that right enough? Is that good enough? Is that helpful enough? Or whatever the story is that the thinking is saying. One of the things that I notice very often happens is that it can feed a drive to overperform. So it means that we can then look to over deliver. And I'm thinking specifically of a particular client that I've been working with for the last year. And very quickly in the first few sessions, we spotted this. Yeah, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I have to do more. I have to do more. I have to say yes to that. I'm the one who has to deliver that rather than hand it on to somebody else. And this particular client was then taking on board more and more and more because she was attempting to prove a point, not to anybody in the external world. It was to herself and her thinking of, no, but I have to be enough. I have to do so much more than everybody else. And I know as we've come to the end of our coaching that she has said the freedom with which the coaching has created, where she's put down that story and or at least sees it when it pops up, that she challenges it, means that actually she's far more productive and is more helpful in handing things over to other people so that they can actually be upskilled and be empowered to move on in their careers. This overdevelopment and this over need to perform is being driven so often by this not enough dialogue, however it's showing up. But the other thing is this putting on a smile, everything's fine, or shrinking away or numbing ourselves to what's going on in the world can be the other aspect of it. So what's important, first of all, is please, if you're listening to this, watching this, and you're recognizing, if this is resonating with you and you're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me, and actually now hearing Jules talk about it, I'm realizing that it's not, that please be kind. Don't be beating yourself up about it, because it's important for us to recognize that self-criticism will never lead you to feeling good about yourself. Self-criticism will never lead you to acting with self-kindness or self-compassion. Self-criticism simply feeds self-criticism. I don't think self-criticism is the right word. I think if we really want to be honest and accurate, it's more self-abuse, because the way that we think about ourselves and then treat ourselves based on very often this not enough story is simply not kind. We probably would not treat anybody that we care about, even work colleagues, let alone friends and family, in that way. So why would we do it to ourselves? So a big part of this, and what I love thinking about this, is I often talk about being rebellious or starting a revolution of looking at things in a different way. And actually, that revolution is a self-revolution. It's like, no, I want to do this differently. I want to experience this differently. I want to walk through the world in a way that I am being kind, being caring to myself, in order to be able to do that with other people. And we're never going to be able to do that if we're believing the not enough stories that are going on, however that's being dialogued. So the first thing that I want to offer out as a rebellious move is that when you notice, whenever you hear that not enough, whatever way, I'm not doing enough, I haven't got enough, I'm not far enough along, when you hear it, is simply ask, well, what's the rule here? Well, what is fast enough? What is enough? What is doing enough? What is that? Look for the rule and actually check to see whether it's viable. Is it relevant right now? The story that's in my head as I'm talking about this, it comes from many years ago when I was married and I had stepsons, and my youngest stepson was going through his GCSEs. And I remember him being really heavy-headed, head in hand, frowny one day. And I said to him, what's going on? And he said, oh, we're being told at school constantly that we're not studying enough. And I said to him, if that is that being said directly to you or to your whole class or your whole year group? And in this instance, he said it was his whole year group. And I said, okay, so that's a broad statement to everyone. Why don't you check, see if it's relevant to you? And I said, are you studying enough to get the exam results that you would like to get and that you know that you're capable of? And fair play to him. He sat there for a good while and went through, I could see him processing, going through every subject and checking, well, if I want to get that grade, am I studying enough in order to be able to do that? And he went through them all and he said, actually, the only one I think I need to put more attention to, I'm not doing enough of, is chemistry. And I was like, well, then there you go. That's far more accurate, rather than it being not studying enough across the board and then that putting more pressure on yourself. And that's what we all need to do. And whenever that story comes up, is check the rule that it's going by, whether it's I'm not intelligent enough, well, who am I measuring against? What's the rule there? I'm not smart enough. I'm not tall enough, thin enough, whatever the enoughness is. I haven't got enough. I'm not doing enough. What's the rule? And is the rule helpful? If it's not, change it, because the rule was made up in the first place anyway. The second rebellious move that I want to offer out here is the reminder, really, possibly at some point in your life, you used to believe in the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, and probably other things too. But at some point in your life, you possibly challenged that belief and changed that belief. Maybe because you got more evidence, maybe because it didn't seem right, maybe it didn't fit your rules anymore. But you changed that belief and therefore it changed your outcomes. And it's exactly the same. A thought is a belief is a thought. You can change them in an instant if you want to. So when you hear that thought come up, not enough, well, what happens if you play around with, well, what if I am enough? What if that I'm not enough is not true and that the I am enough is true? Or what if I don't believe either? It's completely up to you. But make the decision for yourself. Decide for yourself what's helpful for you. This isn't about fixing you, because in my view, you're not broken. You really are not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need to see the things that are tripping you up. And in this instance, it's that I'm not enough thinking, however that is being worded. So start to see that for yourself and see it as the thought that it is. Be clear and honest with yourself and treat yourself with some compassion. Decide whether that thought, I'm not enough, whatever whatever word in there you want, decide whether it's kind. And if it's not, get rid of it. Decide whether it's helpful, accurate, true, compassionate, loving, whatever you want to use as your measurement system with that. And if it's not fulfilling that, then change it. Don't carry it around with you anymore. Because maybe, just maybe, when you realize that that thought of I'm not enough is simply that, a thought, and you've got a choice whether you engage with it or not, then maybe you can start living in a lighter way by putting down that heavy baggage. I wanted to offer this out to you today because it comes up so often in coaching conversations. It comes up so often in workshops. So it's not just you. If you've experienced this, if it's a nagging, whispering, playing in the background, or even shouting really loudly in your head thought, it's not just you. It's not something that just you experiences. So therefore, you can do something differently, because I do, and so do the people that I work with. And that's my offering to you today. So I hope that you're going to join the rebellion and start to challenge that thinking rather than simply accept it. And I hope that you'll share your comments, your thoughts, and even share this podcast with somebody that you know struggles with a not enough syndrome. And I look forward to speaking to you again in another episode of Coming to Your Senses.